Hello, hello. Hope everyone can hear me okay. How's the sound? How's the sound? Can you hear me okay? Hello, hello. All right. Thank you for coming, everyone. And thanks for joining for another live session of Trap Chess. My camera is a little blurry. Let's try that. Perfect. That fixed it. So I'm going to generate a play code and throw that in chat. And while I'm waiting for people to join and someone to join to play me, I'll talk a little bit about chess in general. So I'm going to throw that play code right in the chat. It's 3FWMGN. Boom. Okay. So anyone at any time can join with that code and play a game against me. I'm going to confirm 16. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about chess in general while I wait for someone to join. So last week I noticed there were several beginners watching the stream live. And so I want to go over the point system for the pieces and the pieces themselves. So let's stop being blurry, please. Cool. So here we'll start with the weakest piece. It's a pawn. So that's a pawn. That's what the pawn looks like. You start with 8. So if you look at the chessboard, you can see they're on the 2 rank and the 7 rank. A through H are called files. So you would have like the A file, the B file, the C file, the D file, etc. And 1 through 8 are called ranks. So 1 rank, 2 rank, 3 rank. And it's just a coordinate system based for chess so that you can keep track of games and keep track of moves. There's actually a move log in the Trap Chess application that records all the moves. You can see it down here where it says moves. Now, chess is a really old game, so people have been recording chess for hundreds of years and recording games. And that's what a lot of the top players do. They go and they look at the old games and they learn what people did before and they look for improvements on those things. And that's why chess is so difficult for people to get in, because they look and they're like, wow, there's 1,000 years of history with chess. And I'm just starting out as a beginner. That's way too much. I don't have the time for that. So that's why Trap Chess exists. So we'll start again with the pieces. We have the pawn. The pawn is worth 1 point. You have 8 pawns. If you get a pawn across the board, you can turn it into any chess piece except the king or another pawn. So in Trap Chess 2, because you have 8 starting pawns, if I hide all my pieces, you can see that on squares D4, E4, G4, H1, G1, D1, B2, and A1, I have 8 landmines for pawns specifically. Trap Chess has a landmine for every single piece on the board. So I'll show my pieces again. Pawns, 1 point. You have 8 of them to start. Next piece is the knight. The knight is my favorite. So this is a knight in Trap Chess. It's orange. The knight is very unique as it's the only piece that can jump over other pieces. A knight is worth 3 points or 3 pawns. The knight goes into an L shape. So if I tap it on the screen, you can see it. Those are the 2 squares a knight can move to from its opening. It can go from B1 to A3 or C3. Or the knight on G1 can go to F3 or H3. None of the other pieces can move except for pawns because knights are special since they jump over other pieces. And in Trap Chess, there are 2 traps for the knights. So there you go. You can see them on C1 and C2 this game. That's where they were randomly hid. Next piece we have is the bishop. So the bishop is worth 3 points, just like the knight. However, the bishop only moves diagonal. So if you wanted to move your bishop out, you would have to move a pawn out of the way first so it can go diagonal. You'll notice on the board you have a bishop starting on the F1 square and the C1 square. That's important because going diagonal means a piece will always stay on the color it started on. So the F1 bishop starts on the light colored squares and the C1 bishop starts on the dark colored squares. That means the F1 bishop will always stay on the white squares or the light colored squares, and the C1 bishop will always stay on the dark colored squares. A lot of high level chess players, there's a debate between what's better since knights and bishops both have the same point value. Knights are great in the early game because they can maneuver around the board even though there are a lot of pieces that still remain. So they can kind of jump over and get positioned in really cool spots. Bishops get stronger later in the game when they have less pieces in their way and they can go further. Also, there's something to be said about putting two bishops together. So if you have your light colored bishop and your dark colored bishop together, they're hitting a lot of squares at once. And if you watch a lot of high level games, you'll see a lot of grandmasters will put them together so that they can attack from multiple angles. So that's the bishop. Next, we have the rook. Boom. So the rook is a strong piece. It's worth 5 points. The rook can go forward, backwards, side to side. It cannot go diagonal. So that means that a rook can change colors for the square that it's on, as opposed to the bishop that has to stay on the same colored square that it starts on. So the rook can go, you have one on H1, which is a light colored square, and then one on A1, which is a dark colored square. So the first move a rook always makes will put it on the edge of the board or in another corner if you go all the way from corner to corner, just because of how it starts in the corner. Pieces are weakest in the corner, so because of how a rook moves and it starts in the corner, it makes it difficult to get it out. That's why you'll see a lot of chess games, they'll have the rook come out at the end of the game when there's less pieces in the way and it can move more. Rooks generally are late game pieces because of where they start. They start with their setup, makes them difficult to get out, like I said, because they have to go to the side or corner on the first move, and then they can get to the middle and really start hitting a lot of squares. Whereas you have things like the bishop where first move it makes, it can get right to the middle of the board, or the knight can get to a closer to the middle off of its first move. That differentiates it from the rook. However, the bishop and knight are weaker than the rook, since the rook is worth 5 and they're only worth 3 each. The next piece we have is the queen. The queen is your strongest piece. You only have one. The queen starts on the color square of the pieces you are playing. So if you're playing the white pieces, the queen will start on the white square or the light colored square. You can actually take a look whenever you start playing a game of chess. The bottom right square is light colored. So if I hide my landmines, you can see that the board is set up where H1, the bottom right square, is light colored. And if you were to flip the board and be playing black, then the A8 square would be your bottom right square, and that's also light colored. That matters because the queen starts on the same color of the pieces you're playing. So as you can see on my timer bar, it says landmine 16 white, and then my timer ticking down from the 12-hour mark. I'm playing the white pieces. So if you look, my queen starts on D1, which is a light colored square or a white square, and the H1 is the bottom right light colored square too. The queen is, when I grew up, I was told the queen was worth 8 points because it was a combination of the rook and the bishop. The rook is 5, the bishop is 3, 5 plus 3 is 8, and the queen moves just like them combined. It goes forward, backwards, side to side, and diagonal. However, as I got older, I noticed that people were saying it was worth more 9. So I think of it like it's worth 9 points because it's 5 from the rook, 3 from the bishop, plus 1 because it's all in one piece. Just tell that to Luffy. The next piece we have is the king. So the king is also a unique piece because it is the only piece that never leaves the chessboard during a game of chess. The king also doesn't have a generic point value like the other pieces do, since losing your king means you lose the game. So you could say its point value is infinite. It's worth all the points. You can lose a game of chess even if you capture most of your opponent's pieces and you have a big advantage if they manage to checkmate your king. The king is unique because you can never put your king into danger. It's against the rules of chess to move this piece into danger. Also, if it is in danger, you must spend your move getting out of danger and saving your king. The king being in danger is called check. Now, there's 3 ways to get out of check. I like to tell this to all beginners when they're learning how to play, that if they go through these 3 ways, sort of like a checklist, it makes it easier to figure out the ways to save your king. So the first way to get out of check would be to take the piece attacking your king. The second way would be to block the piece attacking your king. And the third way would be to move your king out of danger. So let's go over those three methods. The first way, taking the piece, that's usually the best option. If you can take the piece, that means you gather points. So you get an inherent value from just taking points away from your opponent. Not to say, but every position is different in chess. It might not always be the best move because there might be something else your opponent can do after you take their piece that's worse for you than one of the other two ways. The second way to get out of check is to block. So blocking means putting a piece on a square in between your king and that piece. You can't block knights because knights can jump over other pieces, but you can block bishops, you can block rooks, and you can block queens. You can't block if there isn't a square in between your king and the piece checking your king. Like if someone put their queen, you can see their king on e8. So if I had my queen on e7, there's no blocking. You can't put anything in between. There's no squares available. The last way to get out of check is to move your king to a safe square. This is generally the least preferred option because in chess there's a move called castling, which you can only do if you haven't moved your king before. Once you move your king, even if you move it back to the original square, you can't castle anymore. And a lot of people will use castling when they play chess. I use it sometimes. I don't focus that much on castling unless I need to, but I do plan ahead so that I do have the option to castle on at least one side in the future. It's good because castling is where you move your king to and you put the rook on the other side on the square that your king passed through. It's a great way to move your king out of danger. So if your opponent is lining up all of their forces on like we'll say the F file, the G file, the H file, looking to come at your king that way, you could castle and put your king on C1, your rook on D1, and then your opponent might have a harder time getting to your king because you've moved it to the other side of the board. It's a double-edged sword type of move though, because when you do castle, you're moving your king closer to the corner and all pieces are weaker in the corner, like I talked about before. For instance, having a bishop in the corner means it can only move in one direction. But if you put it on the side of the board, it can go in two. If you put it in the middle, it can go in four directions. And I think the number of squares it can hit increases as well. So it just depends on the positioning. So that's all the pieces. So to reiterate, we got pawn, 1 point, knight, 3 points, bishop, 3 points, rook, 5 points, queen, 9 points, king, whole game. And it's cool because you got to use those pieces to basically protect your king while taking your opponents. If you have any questions about the pieces and the points, let me know. I have the game code in the chat, 3FWMGN. So feel free to join at any time. I'll go ahead and make a move to start this. I'll just do that. So I'll go B2 to B4. In trap chess, the moment you make a move, it's recorded in the move log. With making moves, the move log has move logs in general for chess have existed for hundreds of years, and it records the game. But trap chess is a little unique because it does have a different thing added to the move log. So let's say my pawn next turn went from B4 to B5. The move log would say B5, which means pawn. When you're doing a move log, if the piece is anything other than a pawn, you say what it is. So you would say like, bishop B5, like B5, which would tell you bishop moves to B5. So it would say B5, and if I hit a landmine there, it would say B5 PLM for pawn move to B5, pawn landmine was hit. And that means the piece would be removed. So there is notation added for trap chess because it is a different kind of game. You also have a notation for something called fizzle. So like I said earlier in chess, it's against the rules to make a move that puts your king in check. However, with trap chess, there's one situation where the traps can break the rules of chess. So we have fizzle to combat that. So if I were to make a move and I hit a landmine or I hit a trap and the trap removes the piece I moved, which then leaves my king in check, that means it's my opponent's turn and I'm in check. you're not allowed to make a move in chess that puts you into check, which the trap has now caused. So in this situation, fizzle would occur, and in the move log it would show up with an F for fizzle. The trap would be removed from the board and replaced with a blank. So it's like it's defusing the bomb, or the bomb becomes a dud where it didn't activate, and then the chess piece would remain on the board. So it's a good way to diffuse your opponent's pieces and remove them from the board. However, it's hard to plan because you don't know where your opponent places their pieces. So if you're playing a lot of trap chess, you might eventually encounter a fizzle, or you might see a situation where you go like, okay, I'm going to make this move. But if they have a trap, I don't have to worry because it would put my king in check, so I know a fizzle will activate, preventing that and removing their trap. A lot of talking. So, does anyone have any questions so far? Looks like I disconnected the game. Let's go ahead and get that back up. Cool. Perfect. So, all right, I have the game going right here. Feel free to join at any time. The code to join is 3FWMGN, and it doesn't matter what skill level you're at. We'll just get to play a game of trap chess. It'll be fun. And if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat and I'll walk you through it. Also, if you're new to chess, I would love to play with you. I'm a chess teacher. So I did a lot of time. I spent a lot of time teaching kids how to play chess, which is very unique because children are very honest and they'll tell you if they don't like something right away. And I spent a lot of time teaching them. And I noticed that you have to really have a lot of energy to keep kids engaged in chess. I taught a lot of like 1st through 5th graders. And if they're bored, they let you know they're bored immediately. And chess is a game where it's difficult to stay engaged if you don't win. You feel good about winning, you feel bad about losing. When you're younger, it feels great to win. You're still learning things, you're testing out, a lot of new things in life. You're new to the world. And you might do skiing, you might do like bowling. There might be something that just sits with you. And if you try chess and you lose, you might be like, this isn't for me. And you never play again, which is really, it's sad to me because chess has so many benefits to people that play it. If you look up on Google Scholar, you can find countless articles and research on the mental health benefits of chess and how it helps improve critical thinking skills, how it helps teach critical thinking skills, pattern recognition, helps people with their memory. There's a lot of stuff out there. So I thought about that and I said, it's kind of sad that kids get discouraged this quickly when they're learning a game. So I came up with trap chess, and trap chess has those traps that activate. And when your opponent hits a trap activation, it feels good because even though you may not have outplayed them, you have this thing that happened on the board that removed their piece and gave you this little hit of dopamine and made you feel good about it. So there is something to be said about how the traps change the game and it keeps people engaged. Now, if you're more of a purist and you like classical chess, you might look at this and be like, this is an atrocity. And to that I say, okay, that's your opinion. Totally fine. And I understand it. But you should see that, or you possibly see that, children have a hard time learning the game. So if you see this and don't like it and it's not for you, that's okay. But when someone's learning chess and if they want to get towards classical chess, and if you are a person that thinks everyone should learn chess, the classic chess, this helps. Someone can start learning how to play this and they'll start with more traps than their opponent so they don't get slaughtered or destroyed in the game. And then as they get better, they slowly decrease the number of traps they're using and it gets them closer to classical chess. So it can be used as a learning tool. It can be used as a brand new game, which introduces new concepts like bluffing. Like I could totally throw a piece in my opponent's way that's unprotected and they might look at it and be like, normally I'd take this, but I don't want to lose my piece. So they might not take like a knight with their queen if it's a free knight, because they're afraid there might be a queen landmine or a queen trap equipped to the knight. So it does do something for the game at a high level by introducing those concepts, like bluffing, and new strategies like X-ray attacks opening up from squares that pieces move to. My YouTube channel actually has a lot of content on it. I've been working on it now for about 2 years. I started with social media and I was very bad at it, and I'm still bad at it, but I'm doing my best to improve. And to start with trap chess, I had to wait until I had a lot of my legal stuff done, because I had filed for patents on it. And so the patents were approved. I have 2 utility patents and 2 design patents right now on the original design. And a lot of it, the mechanics apply straight through. So you can see the mechanics from the patent in the app. You can see it in the trap chessboard game. So yeah, it's interesting because I put a lot in there about how it improves learning in chess and how it keeps people engaged, and it's great that it was approved. When I was younger, my grandmother told me to invent something, and I never knew what I was going to invent. So I filed for a few patents with different startups, but it wasn't my name. It wasn't something that I came up with. It was always something that the company came up with. And then I had this idea, so I did it all I basically put everything together myself, and then I hired an attorney and I went through the process with my attorney, and it was just amazing to get approved, because that was a brand new feeling for me. So I feel like I achieved that goal that my grandmother wanted me to do. And another goal I had as a kid was I always wanted to own a game company. So as I got older and I learned about patents a little bit more, I learned that things like this can be patented. In the past, I thought it was like, oh, a patent has to be something like, a new way to do lasers or a new way with technology. But no, I got patents on a wooden version of trap chess that I made. So it doesn't have to be something complicated. But it does have to solve a problem. That's the main thing. If you have any questions about patents or the process, I'm here. I can talk a little bit more about that while I'm waiting for someone to join, actually. If you have an idea and you want to patent it, obviously you should hire an attorney. But there's a couple things you should know too. So if you've never filed for a patent before, there's this thing you can ask your attorney about called a micro-entity filing. And with the micro-entity filing, you can actually get an expedited process done so that you hear back faster. I think the normal period, it's like 1.5 to 2 years it takes to hear back when you file a patent. But with the expedited process, you can hear back pretty quickly within months, which helps you too if you're looking to bring it and it's a product you want to bring to market. You can get that done faster so that you can go to market faster with the proper legal protection. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney. Hire an attorney for anything that you need with like patent process or intellectual property. But that's just some of the things I learned during the process. Okay, here we still have the game ready. If anyone wants to join, the play code is 3FWMGN. Looking forward to playing with the first person. Now, last week I think it was about 4 different people that play with me, and it was about the same number the week before. So it's there were several beginners. And there's always something a beginner learns in chess for the first time, and that's that points are great, but they don't matter. And they don't matter if you get your opponent's king. They do matter, but the main goal of the game is to capture or checkmate your opponent's king. So we had a game last week where it started with I think I did like E2 to E4, which is the most common opening move in chess. My opponent did F7 to F5, and then I moved my queen from D1 to H5, which checks their king. F7 to F5 is one of the worst opening moves in chess, because if you look at how the board is set up, you have your king and queen sitting in the middle, but on the F rank, that's the side of the board that your queen isn't, which means your king is by itself, and it's the weakest side of the board for for you. So it's the side that actually has a 4-move checkmate people can do. It's a side that people attack pretty early to try to get your king and end the game quickly. So they did that. I went e2, e4. They went f7, f5. I went queen to h5, check. The only way they could block was g7 to g6. So then I put my bishop from f1 to e2. So now, because they only had that one way to block, if I were to check them again using that same method and that way is removed, it's checkmate. That's the understanding there. And so they took the queen. It led to them getting 9 points, but then I took their pawn back out 1, so that they were up by 8 points, but it was checkmate. And it's something that every beginner learns at some point, where they see, they're like, oh, I got their queen. Yes. Oh, I lost. And that really helps players grow. So last week, I think the person playing me was a beginner, and I hope that taught them a lesson and helped them improve, because I did play them again after, and they seemed, better. They didn't really move the pawns on that side, so things seemed to work out a little bit better. All right. So we still have the code in chat. It's 3FWMGN if you'd like to play a game with me. I'm pretty excited to get that first game going. That's the thing about chess too. When you're playing a game, there we go. Sorry, I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. It gets fuzzy, like it doesn't know who I am, and it goes, oh, who is this? And then it just suddenly sharpens, and you're like, ah, and I think I'm gonna bleed because it's so sharp, but I don't. So the cool part about chess is when you have a game going on, it makes it easy to do commentary, because there's always something happening on the board. There's always something to point out to your opponents. There's always something that you can talk about. But right now, since I don't have a game going on, I'm just gonna fill the air with whatever. I'll talk about my shirt a little bit today. So I was telling my friend, they were like, my cat's fearless. I have this cat. This cat is afraid of nothing. This cat is looks at a dog or anything that's bigger than it, and it goes, yeah, I'm an apex predator. I can take you. And I had to remind them that cats have natural enemies. So this is what this shirt is for. I just love the expression. I love the expression of that cat. And I tell my friend, look, that's a cat's natural enemy. You can see true fear in that cat's eyes. So I ended up buying 3 of these shirts because it was a sale and I liked it so much. And, it reminds me that, it reminds my friend when I wear it, rather, that cats aren't fearless. Yeah. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about where I'm at with the project right now. I have a Reddit, reddit.com/r/xplace, XPLAYCE, where I post weekly updates on what's going on with the Trap Chess project. So on Reddit, I've been posting about updates. I was working on the rules recently. The rule books are on trapchess.com right now, the black and white versions, but I did hire a graphic designer to improve them. Excuse me. I did hire a graphic designer to improve the rules. And let me take a drink. And they've been working on them this week. And those are the rules, the final versions that will go in the box. So I have an example that I can show you right here. So this was printed from my home printer. My home printer does not do as well as a manufacturer printer. So the margins are a little off and the bleeds are off. But here's a first draft of the rules. That's the inside, the back cover, and then the front. See? So it looks very similar to the rules that you can find on trapchess.com, except it's in color. And we tried to fit the color scheme of the box in the background. So if you look, it's the same red from the red on the bottom of the box. We got the yellow and the green. It's the same. This might be the older rule book. Yeah, sorry. This is the newer version. There we go. It's just a sheet of paper, and I fold it. Let's go ahead and fold it so I can show you. Be like, go tell all your friends. What did you do today? Oh, I watched this guy who made this chess game fold a piece of paper on stream. It was riveting. So here you can see the colors match that box in the background. It's hard to do this when it's mirrored. That box in the background. So colors match. The pink up top is the same pink from the king. Boop. The blue is the same blue from the queen. The queen is blue because my grandmother told me to invent something, and that color blue was her favorite color. So the red is from the box in the back, and then the white and the black is just so that you can see the different board. See the boards. There's like a gray for the. There's a gray for the for one side and a dark black for the other side. The inside has that nice calm color, just like on the box behind me. And so this is the rule book that will go into the Trap Chess box that you can see in the back. If you've just joined, you can download Trap Chess from trapchess.com for iPhone or Android, and you can play with me live right now. I put a code in chat, it's on the screen. It's 3FWMGN. So that code will let you join, and we can play a round of chess or round of Trap Chess with traps hidden randomly inside the board. So then when you make a move on your opponent's side of the board, there's always a risk that you'll lose a piece. The only piece you won't lose ever is the king, though, because the king is the only piece in chess that doesn't leave the board, so it would make sense to have a trap that removes it. So that's the rule book I've been working on for the main game. I have the rule book for the divider as well. Here's the rule book for the divider. So this is the first draft. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Like I said, tell everyone you watched a guy on stream fold paper today, and it's like you were so excited for it. So, and you can see it matches again too. So the colors aren't set. That's actually some of the changes I have, but there is an additional version or additional thing you can buy for Trap Chess. You can see it over my shoulder, the black and white, where it says, see, it's mirrored, so it's weird. It's hard to do this. Trap Chess right there. So that is the divider. So the main rule book that I showed you the first time has an upgrade from the app where you have a new type of trap. They're called chess piece traps that you hide by equipping them to your chess pieces. And you have different ways to play that are designed. So you could play this version where you hide stuff randomly on your half of the board. You could play with friendly fire on, where you hide it anywhere and any trap can take out either player's piece. You have the version where you pick where you want to lay your pieces. That's game mode 1. And there's like variants to game mode 1 that you can use. Then this version, this rule book, it deals with timing of laying traps. So the divider obscures your opponent's vision and your opponent's vision, so they can't see your side of the board, and it obscures your vision so you can't see their side of the board. So there's 2 new game modes that unlock with the divider. One of them is where you move a piece to your opponent's side, or your opponent moves to your side. You put the divider in, and then you hide traps on your half of the board. So every time a piece crosses, you get to hide. So you might strategically lay a lot of pawns, maybe on the 4 rank. And then every time you're like, okay, my opponent's coming to me. I have a queen trap here. I think they want to put their queen there. You might spend a move moving to the other side, so you can put the divider in and lay that queen trap where you think it'll do the most damage and net you your opponent's queen. The other version, the other game mode that comes with the divider is one where every time a player makes a move, then after each side has made a move, you put the divider in and then you lay traps. So it would be white moves, black moves, divider goes in, lay a trap. Take divider out, white moves, black moves, put the divider in, lay a trap, etc. until both players run out of traps. And if one side runs out before the other player, then they just don't get to lay traps during the divider stage. So those are the upgrades, and then that come with Trap Chess. So the app is a way to introduce Trap Chess, so you can play it and try it. And what happens is you go to trapchess.com, Scroll to the bottom. It says download now for iPhone or Android. Download it. Then you can either generate a play code, send it to a friend to play, or you can input a play code. There's a play code in chat right now, 3FWMGN, that you can input and then hit join game. It'll ask you how many traps you want. The default is 16, which is the maximum. It's one for every chess piece, plus an extra one for the queen. When I was growing up, all chess sets came with 2 queens. Because if you got a pawn across the board, the most common piece you would want to upgrade your pawn to or promote your pawn to was a queen. So every chess set came with 2 queens. Now that I've gotten older, I've noticed that that doesn't really happen anymore. So I thought that doesn't make any sense. So trap chess comes with 2 queens, comes with 2 queen landmines. That's why the app has 2 landmines or 2 traps for queens, because who wouldn't want an extra shot at taking out their opponent's strongest piece? Who wouldn't? I want it, don't you? Yeah, so that was the idea behind it. And if you think that's terrible, well, I'm sorry. In the board game, you can just play with one then. You know, you can throw all your traps into a bag and then draw at random and make sure you only have 1 queen trap to draw from in that bag if that's how you want to play it. You can play it however you want. I'm just giving you the tools to test it out and play. It's fun. So far, I've had a lot of people say they really like it, and the number of downloads has increased on the App Store and the Google Play Store. Right now, I think we're sitting at around 54 downloads ish. So excellent, thank you. I was hoping the volume was good. I don't really know because I can't hear myself here. I'm just speaking into air. So I don't know if the volume is good or not. So thank you for letting me know, Serena. Yeah, it's and I mean that's better anyway, because if I'm talking and I can hear myself, there might be a little bit of a reverb, and nobody wants that. So yeah. So if you've just joined, feel free to download the Trap Chess app and play a game with me, and we can talk about everything happening, and I can explain it. I'm going to show where the locations of all of my traps. And if you have questions on what that means, I'll scroll down. Down here, we have a landmine legend. The legend tells you what removes what. So I'm playing the white pieces right now because I generated the play code. Whoever generates the play code plays white. Whoever joins the game with the play code plays black. So you can see here on the right-hand side, that's what I want to look at since I'm playing white. All of my traps will remove black pieces. So you can see the top one is the black background with the white bomb. That's pawns. And then we have orange is knight, yellow is bishop, green is rook, and blue is queen. So if I scroll up here, you can see I chose 16 landmines in my timer bar. It says landmine 16 white and then my timer. And then you can look at my setup, and on my half of the board, half of the squares are taken up with landmines, and they match all of the colors. So if they landed on one that's black, which is on A1, B2, D4, E4, D1, G4, G1, H1, they would lose a pawn. In this version of Trap Chess, pawns that get laid on the 1 rank or the 8 rank, though, are essentially useless and they don't do anything. When you're playing the board game, there's an option for you to check if you promote a pawn. You can check the square before you promote or check the square after. I'll explain. So if I'm going to promote a pawn, and let's say I move my pawn from G2 to G1 to promote it, and I want to check the square before I promote it, I would lose the pawn because there's a pawn landmine on G1, and I wouldn't get the promotion. It would just be removed because I checked before it was promoted. If I checked after, it would be safe because it would be promoted into a non-pawn piece, which means it wouldn't blow up because G1 only removes pawns. That's how it would work in the board game. You have the option. But in Trap Chess, the app, you don't have the option. They just get randomly hidden on the board, and sometimes you get pawns on the 1 rank or the 8 rank, and essentially they won't do anything for you in this game. They're just like dead locations. They won't activate, they won't remove a pawn because the promotion happens and then it checks for a trap because that's how it's programmed. I did it that way specifically because there's 8 pawn landmines on the board, and doing it that way increased the likelihood of people being able to promote a piece. And it was also, I wanted to get this out as an MVP, a minimum viable product. And part of having a minimum viable product is you have to cut corners on a couple things. So adding that rule didn't seem like the most important thing to me in order to get this out so people could try it. It just seemed like an extra thing I was going to do if I had time, and I didn't really have time early on to add it, and I had a few problems with doing it, so I skipped it for now. But I'll definitely put it in the future, because I'll have the app eventually more match everything you can do in the board game. For now though, the app is just kind of a gateway for you to try it, see if you like it, and if you like it, you have the board game that lets you do a lot more, play different game modes, and it's nice. It's a nice game. I like I put a lot of work into it. The box is nice. The colors are nice. The colors match the Okabe Ito color palette, which is great for people that have color vision deficiencies. If you've just joined us right now, you can download Trap Chess, the app, on trapchess.com for iPhone or Android. And if you enter the play code in chat, 3FWMGN, you can play against me. You'll be playing the black pieces, and you can see the squares that I have all of my traps on. So you can do your best to avoid them, and I won't know where any of your traps are. So there's a good chance I'll hit them and blow up. Yeah, does anyone have any questions so far? I'm just kind of like talking to air. I practice this by talking to my pets a lot. Strangely though, my one cat always responds, so it's like we're having a conversation, but I don't think he understands what I'm saying, like, at all. So but he's a good boy, so it doesn't matter. All right, so I got a message here. Boom. All right. So I'll talk about the project a little bit more. So every week I have certain tasks that I complete for the project. I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew because I'm one guy. So every week I'll work on something new while keeping up with the old work. So some of the old work is I do a post every Monday, Thursday, and Friday on social media. So I post on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. On YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, they all get the same Monday, Thursday, Friday posts. Monday is generally whatever I worked on for that week, or an update on the project, or just something silly that I thought of that I post. Thursday is a post about the app, and it shows an activation or something blowing up in the app. And then Fridays are an activation from the board game where I have Stockfish play against Stockfish, and then when a trap activates, I update Stockfish and have it make the next best move. So that's how like my social media works. Tuesdays I have a poll I post on YouTube, and Wednesdays I do the live stream on YouTube. Once I get better at the live streaming here and I'm more comfortable with it, I'll probably switch and start doing this on different platforms. So I might do what's called a multi-stream, where I'll post. I don't really know which platforms work with that yet, but I'll work through it. I'm still I'm not the best with social media. So that's what I work on every week. I always work on those posts to make sure they keep going. And I've been doing that now in a month, it'll be about 2 years that I haven't missed a single week. My post schedule has changed, but I destroyed my social media earlier on. I didn't fully understand social media, and I didn't understand the algorithm. So on YouTube, I was posting these videos using the wooden chessboard that I made originally. And that wooden chessboard had, it was different. So it had, I was trying to talk about all of the things from my patent, and I would do like short horizontal videos for it. And at the height, my one video got 16,000 views, I think, on YouTube. And it slowly goes up. People still watch that video because it's my most watched, and it gets pushed a good amount. But then I started posting outside of my posting schedule, and the views just plummeted. It went from me getting like over 1,000 views per video to like a dozen or less. And I realized I had broken my social media, and then I checked the other ones and I just wasn't getting push stuff. There was a period where I ran ads on Facebook to test market viability with my marketing team, and we discovered that it was difficult to explain the product. So we stopped running the ads, and after I stopped running the ads, my views on my videos on Facebook and Instagram plummeted. Like everything just dropped because the ads were really pushing everything for me, and it made it really difficult to do social media. So then I switched to a new strategy where I do shorts. I found out that educating people in my older videos was silly, because according to what works for social media, after doing research, I learned that I shouldn't be educating. I should be giving teasers that make people want to learn more, which to me is it's just crazy, because I want to watch a video to learn something, to see something cool, and to know as much as I can know about it if I'm interested in it. And then I ran through that strategy. I asked AI, I was like, what am I doing wrong? And AI was like, you're a fool. You're teaching people? Don't do that. Give them like nothing and make them want more. And then when they want more, don't give them any more. And just do it that way. And I started doing it that way, and suddenly I'm getting thousands of views on shorts. I think I had a short like 3 weeks ago that hit almost 3,000 views in a few days. And so it just went to show that I'm still learning social media. I'm not very good at it. I set this up. So I set up, this setup to do live streams, and it was pretty quick and easy, but I still have problems with it. Like I'm still learning. If I move my phone just a little bit the wrong way, you'll see my app kick out. You won't see the board anymore on the side of the screen, and I have to reset it. Sometimes it won't even let me reset it, and I have to restart my computer. And I don't understand why. I don't get it, but I do my best. So yeah. So if you're joining now, feel free to join the game I have posted. You can download the Trap Chess app on trapchess.com, and then you can input the play code 3FWMGN, and it'll join right away, and we'll be able to play a game of chess. Excuse me? Yep. Talking a lot dehydrates you. I might have to get more water at some point. So I'd love to play a game with you, anyone. It's really fun. If you like chess, you'll like it. And if you don't know much about chess, tapping the pieces shows you where you can move. So it kind of holds your hand and teaches you as you play. Everyone learns differently. I'm more of a pattern recognition learner. So if I were learning this way, I'd be tapping. I'd be like, all right, I'll tap this. It says it can go 2 or 1. Okay, that's a pawn. It says it can attack like this. And I would just memorize that. And then you can apply that to your opponent and be like, okay, my piece moves that way. That means their piece moves that way. And you can start to see what your opponent can do to try to attack you. And if you're new to chess, just remember, everyone started somewhere. This is a safe space for learning. No one will know you're the one playing unless you say so in chat. And I would be happy to teach you. As we play, I'll be able to see your skill level, and I'll be able to help you or point things out on the board that can teach you how to improve. So feel free to join a game if you're interested. Next thing I can talk about. So that's what I do weekly. I was talking about earlier for social media. I post something or make videos every week and post them. Another thing I work on is I have the manufacturing process. So the manufacturing process takes over a year to set up with when you're building a board game. And you can run into a lot of problems that you didn't even know would exist. It's really important that you make everything perfect. It's an industry of precision, and that matters. So for example, this pawn chess piece, it's double-sided with printing. You can see there's the logo on this side. Same thing for all the chess pieces, right? Because this one will be facing your opponent so they can see it, but this side is facing you and it has the trap equipped right here so you can see it. But if you're building these files and you're not being precise, when it cuts it, you can get jagged cuts, which means these standees won't properly fit into these standee slots, which means your pieces won't stand up. So that's just one of the things you have to look out for when you're building a board game. There's also other things you have to look out for too. Like you have to have pieces that work well. So one of the things that comes in the box with the trap chess set are these darts. I think I have them over here. Yeah. Get these darts. So you can use them to pick up your pieces. Since trap chess uses pieces that are made from cardstock and chipboard, they're easy to damage because they're not like metal, you know. So if you're trying to pick up a piece of cardstock from the board to see your traps with your nails, you can damage it. And if you damage them, then you might see one and be like, all right, I know that one is their queen landmine because I knew the queen landmine was damaged on the corner like that. And it makes it so that the board game might not be fair anymore. Someone might have a home game advantage or a home set advantage by knowing the damage on the pieces. So if you use the dart, you can pick it up like that. Now this is the chipboard, so it's strong enough to pick up the thicker component. This isn't the landmine, the paper, the cardstock one. But then you can detach it by just squeezing the silicone tip. You just squeeze it like this, and it pops right off. And that's great because it's a way that you can keep your pieces and your game functioning for a long time and keep it looking solid. So that's a component that comes in the box. I do have a pack of 5 white and 5 black darts that you can get separately, because since these are darts, the only thing holding this together is like a little bit of glue. And if you play with it a lot and you're squeezing it a lot, you could easily separate it. So replacing the dart is easier than replacing the whole set. So, but if you're careful with it and you're gentle and you're just doing it from the tip like that and squeezing it like that, then yeah, just tell people you were watching a guy on stream just squeezing tips, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, send me the link right now. So yeah, if you just squeeze the tip gently, it just pops right off. So it's a good way to not damage these and keep them working for a long time. But you know, they're darts. Growing up, I grew up with these things too, and they broke all the time. So yeah. Another thing that comes in the box, these are just some of the things you have to think about when you're making a board game. You have to think about how people would learn. So the board, here's the board. It folds twice, so I'm going to unfold it. There we go. And you can see that there's the coordinates. There's the coordinates on the board. That helps promote learning. So if you're laying traps on the board, like here on this screen for the app, you can see there's like a bishop landmine on D3. Like you can see that because it's the yellow one. The yellow one is associated with the bishop. You know, so you can see that. But when you're playing the actual board game, there's something called sight on and sight off. Sight off is the normal way to play, where you lay your landmines face down. So the X Place logo, which is that logo, yeah, is face up. And so every square looks identical. And face down is either blank or the trap information. You want to remember where you lay your traps. That's important. So having those coordinates on the chessboard helps you figure out and remember where you laid them. Some people will remember based on, oh, someone joined. Some people will remember based on like F6, you know, G2. Other people will just be like, no, it was there. And they just remember the location based on like the locations of other pieces. So there's coordinates on the board to help with learning specifically for that. Thank you for joining, whoever joined. Let's have a fun game. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up and get my bishop going on b2 so it can attack diagonally through the board. This gives it a lot of squares that it can hit, and it helps me target the center. My opponent moved their pawn from b7 to b6, which makes me think they're trying to do the same thing but with their bishop for the light colored squares going through the center. Yeah, and thanks for joining. Yep, there it is. So okay, my turn. Go ahead and we'll block them right away. We're gonna go. Well, we're not gonna block them. We're gonna move our knight out first, and then we'll put our pawn on e4. That way, it's protected by the knight, and we won't have any issues. That'll block them because if their bishop takes the pawn on e4, my opponent will get 1 point. If I take them back, I'll get 3 points. All right, so they're going offensive right here. So there's a couple possibilities here. I could just ignore that and defend against it by putting my pawn on like a3. But that won't be good because if they take, I take back, their rook goes from a8 to a1. I don't want that. So if I take them first and there's a landmine there, I just lose my pawn. It's even, but they don't have to spend their move taking me back. They can do whatever they want, and it opens up their rook to come out whenever they want. So that's beneficial for them. But if I move it forward and there's a pawn landmine, I just lose a pawn without getting anything in return. So I think I'll take it. Oops. I got kicked again. Sorry, guys. I pushed too hard on it. So let me try to pop it open again. There we go. Like I told you, I'm still learning. So doing my best to learn and get better at this. So thanks for bearing with me. I'm a new streamer. Yep. All right. There's the rook, and the rook is in a good spot now. So, okay. I'm going to keep going with my plan, and I'll put the pawn there. So that pawn does a little bit more now. It blocks the rook from going to d5 or f5. So it does have a little bit of control on the board with me making that move, which is helpful. Cut out again? Sorry, guys. It's frustrating. Because it's like it's so finicky. What happened was I put my water down next to it, and then my water created a little bit of a vibration that caused it to disconnect. So we're just going to put our water over here. Cool. Okay. Interesting. So they're looking to trade bishops from what I can see. Their bishop on a6 is targeting my bishop on f1. If they want to trade bishops, the only way I would take them back is with my king, which makes it so I can't castle later. So what I'll do is I'll go for the bishop. We'll just do the trade now. No problem. This is an aggressive player. I know someone that plays very aggressively and attacks quickly and early. And I have a feeling that's who I'm playing. Let's see. Okay, so nothing now is attacking my pawn on e4. So I'm going to actually work on moving my knights together. And by moving my knight to e2, it opens up my bishop on b2 to attack that whole diagonal. It was blocked by the knight on c3 before. So I just want to make sure I'm attacking a lot of squares at once. Okay. I'm going to bring my other knight into the action. Knights are my favorite piece, so I try to use them as much as I can. All right, let's see here. That opens up the queen and the bishop on d8 and f8. Never married. So Lazy Bump says, I I've been engaged to 4 different women, but never married. Is there something wrong with me? Not at all. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found your person yet. It's difficult. The main thing, I've been married for over 10 years now with the same person. We've been dating for 15 years-ish. Let's see. Yeah, almost 15 years we've been together, and there's nothing wrong. It's about finding the right person. One of the things I've noticed that helps the most is trying to be reasonable. So yeah, I'm going to make my move, and then there we go. I'll protect that pawn a little bit more because it's kind of a sitting duck. There's nothing wrong. I think you'll find your person. Are you looking for advice on relationships? Because I don't want to give non-solicited advice. Mr. Lazy Bump or Miss Lazy Bump, Mr. or Miss Lazy Bump. I don't want to give unsolicited advice, but I will tell you that with my wife, the number one thing I look for in a partner was someone that was reasonable. And that was really important to me because at the end of the day, life will come at you hard and fast. And if you're in a relationship with someone, your lives are intertwined, and life is going to hit you. It's going to hit both of you at the same time because you're together. And having someone that's reasonable helps a lot because you can take a step back and look at the situation, and they'll be like, okay, let's tackle this together. I had relationships in the past where a problem would occur and immediately the person would point fingers, and I was like, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that will help solve this problem. And having a person that does that with you is wonderful because, I have someone I can always rely on. But being with someone reasonable helps a lot. Now that I've been married for so long, I started doing this thing where if we have an argument or about something or a problem occurs, and it doesn't matter who's wrong. This is the trick. I just say, look, I only want to have happy times with you. This is no one's fault. Let's just move forward, fix this, and keep going, and go back to laughing and smiling together. And I mess up a lot, but I also say it when she messes up, because it's mutual. Because no one's perfect. We both make mistakes. I make more mistakes than her, obviously, because I'm like, you can tell. Just look at me. Like, she's so well put together, and I'm wearing a cat UFO shirt. I'm wearing a cat UFO shirt, and she's like she's into fashion, and so I'm the screw up often, but because I just started doing that, it works, and we don't argue whenever we run into a problem. Thank you. We don't argue, and we just move past it. So, do you have any specific questions about relationships, or because if you need advice or you're looking for someone to talk to, I'm here. Okay, so I'm in check right now. I had moved my pawn up to d4. It was protected by my e2 and my f3 knights and my queen on d1. So I had a lot of protection there. That's why I threw the pawn up there. And they opted to check me. Now, I don't like that check per se because I can push the bishop away again with the pawn. And now if you look, the bishop can't go to a3. It can't stay on b4. It can't go to c5. All of those squares are off limits because of my pawns. And if it goes to d6, I could push up my e4 pawn to e5 and make the bishop move again. So I get to advance my pieces while my opponent is forced to retreat. Yeah, I understand. Relationships are hard. They really are, Lazy Bump. It's not easy out there. I have a lot of single friends that tell me every day how difficult it is out there. And okay, so they went there and they're looking to do a bishop trade with me. So if I take their bishop with my bishop on b2, they can take me back with their rook. Now, I don't have any traps sitting there, so I have to address this because my bishop is not protected. However, I don't know. I think it's just best if I protect my bishop. If I use the rook, then their rook on a5 will be able to take my pawn on a2 when I move away. So I'm going to use my queen instead. So, yeah, I understand. I have a lot of single friends, and they said it's really difficult out there right now. I hear horror stories about dates all the time. I hear I have a friend who is in her 30s, and she recently went on a date with someone that was in their late 40s, because they said they were looking for someone more mature, and then they were like, scratch that. Late 40s does not necessarily mean more mature, and I think mature might have been the incorrect word there, because everyone, it's like a relationship is like fitting a puzzle piece in with someone else's, and you just have to fit. It has to fit well enough for you guys for it to work. There's someone for everyone. I guess we're getting into a talk about people in general, like people. Every person you meet has had circumstances and life and an upbringing that shapes who they are. There's the nature versus nurture debate, but then you have family impacts people and who they are. You have friends, you have schooling. There's so many outside sources that like shape and mold a person as they grow older. And I try to treat everyone I meet with respect, because I don't know any of the battles that they've fought that have gotten them to this point. And if I knew about those battles and how they handled it, I would respect them anyway. So why not just do it preemptively until they do something to lose it? And if you take that mentality and you utilize it yourself, where you go, okay, and you go on a date, right? And you go, okay, this person I'm going on a date with, they have things that they have done in their life that I know nothing about, things that have molded them, and they think differently than me. They do different things than me. They have different reasoning than me. And you try to put yourself in their shoes and try to see things not from your point of view in their shoes, but from their point of view as a different person. It really helps in a relationship, because I try to do that. It's constant work, and I try to do that every day with my wife, and trying to do that with her helps a lot, because then I can preemptively stop problems or prevent problems before they become a problem. I might see she hasn't had her coffee for the day, and I'll go out and I'll bring her a coffee, and she goes, "Oh, this is great." And then a day where she doesn't have coffee, she'll end up with a headache. So then I'm the guy getting her coffee before she gets that headache, because she loves her caffeine. And let's see if we can. There we go. So trying to do that with another person, putting in that work, helps a lot with relationships, and you'll see them blossom a little bit more. But it's difficult to do because it's a skill, it's a skill that requires work, and you have to work on it every day. And that's probably the most difficult part about being in a relationship, is always knowing you have to put in that work. But once you get used to it and you do it every day and you practice, like any skill, it gets easier, and then things just get a little bit easier, and it's appreciated. I hope if any of the stuff I said makes sense, I hope it helps. I'll talk about the game real quick. So that queen moved to b6. It's pretty much shut out by my pawn wall on that side, so I'm not really worried too much about that queen. So I'm going to focus on trying to get something going here on the right side, because they don't have a lot there, and maybe I can start going for their king. Did any of the things I say help, Lazy Bump? Or did they make sense? All right, let's start moving our knights into the action. And I don't know if no, it's let's see. Okay, so their knight is coming into play too. So the next square they can move their knight to on my territory. They would be coming to, okay, we got e2 that I can, okay. We got e4, take the pawn, it's unprotected. We got g4. Okay, I could attack the knight and force it to move again. I think that's the best option here. I don't see a route for the knight where if they push forward, it will stay safe. So I'm going to just keep attacking it and hope I don't hit a landmine. So no landmine. Okay, no landmine. Cool. Yeah, relationships are hard, Lazy Bump. It's work every day, but You know, it's fulfilling. And you'll meet your person. I know it. If you're looking and putting in the work, there's no way that you won't meet your person. Okay. I'm not ready to trade knights. Let's back up a little bit. That was a good question too. You know, it's questions that start discussions are always great to ask. Yeah, I'm very happy in my marriage. And I watch a lot of single friends sit around and they'll talk about how there's no good guys or no good girls out there. And they'll take advice from my other single friends, and I'll sit there sometimes and I'm like, you know, maybe that advice works for you guys, but that's not something I would do. And then it's rare that I get asked relationship advice, because people go like, oh yeah, you're just in a relationship for over 10 years, you're fine. You know, you don't know what it's like out here, but really, like, a relationship is a relationship, and every single one of them is different. So they're all work. The work can be different because each human being is different. There's something to be said about the 5 love languages, if you guys are familiar with those. I'll talk about that after I figure out my next move in chess. So it looks like they're trying to push me away with their pawn. They don't like how close my pawns are, but if they take me first, I can take back with one of my knights. I'm okay with that. I think I'll actually try to bring my rook into the action. So let's give more protection to that pawn with my rook. Yeah, so there's the 5 love languages. If you're familiar with them, I believe they're acts of service, physical, gifts, words of affirmation, and quality time. So they're actually like they're legitimate. I've heard a lot of people talk about them, and I've also had people say like, you know, don't worry about that. But I think they're pretty legitimate. So knowing everyone's different, my wife, I know her love languages. Hers are quality time and acts of service. So like, I do a lot around the house. I spend a lot of time with her, and it makes her, you know, it makes our marriage better. Let's take a look. My opponent castled. Okay. Okay. I know what I want to do. I have a plan here. So my wife is quality time and acts of service. So I spend a lot of time with her. We even though we've been married for over 10 years, I do a lot with we have a lot of date days. We did one on Sunday. We try to do them like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks if we're busy. And that's her love language, so it makes her happy. And I try to be as present and there for them as I can. Another one is her other one is acts of service. Now that one's a little different in terms of how I approach it. Let's see. Are we taking that pawn with the pawn, the knights, or the rook? I'm going to take it with the rook. No rook landmine. Okay, good. Cool. So for acts of service, I've noticed something. Things that are done, things that you do that are within your gender role, I've learned. So they're more expected. So like, for instance, as a guy, I'm expected to take the trash out. You know, I'm expected to fix things around the house. It's like, it's kind of it's the roles that have been put in place through society that we have kind of learned to accept and see as like regular, normal things. However, so I do those things for acts of service. However, if I do something outside that gender role, so for instance, doing the dishes, right? Like, my wife sees that as more of not a guy thing, but that's just how she sees it. So when I do that, it's not as expected, it's more appreciated. And so as acts of service, me doing the things within my gender role and outside of my gender role appear to be more appreciated, and it makes her happier. That's something I've just learned from being married for a while. Okay, so we're gonna So I have this plan where I eventually want to move the pawn from c3 to c4 and target that knight. But the moment they move their pawn out of the way, I can come down with my queen. Yeah, so if I do that, so let's take a look. Pawn up. They take the pawn. I take their queen. They take my queen with their knight. I take their rook. Good. If they don't take it, I take the knight. If they run with the knight, that's fine too. I can push the pawn forward and target the queen or take the pawn. My queen is protected by my knight. Okay, I got options. Let's do it. Huzzah! Let's see what happens. This is a good game. Whoever I'm playing is a little more experienced in chess than some of the people I've played previously. It's difficult to switch. So when I'm playing someone, I notice they're more of a beginner. I try to like look for things to teach. When I'm playing someone a little bit better that I don't have to teach, I'm trying to look for like higher level stuff to talk about. Yeah, so I try to look for like higher level stuff to talk about, but I'm also trying to figure out the game and look for a way to win, because everyone likes winning. But take your time on this move. So whoever I'm playing, if you're watching, take your time. I understand. It's a difficult position to be in. Yeah, so you see, it's interesting. Because my knight can take your knight. And then if you take, I take back with my queen. And it's on my side, so I'm safe from traps. And then you can take my pawn with your rook, but that's okay because I'm up a knight. Okay, let's do it. Huzzah! Yep, so I see now they take back with their knight. I take with my queen. They take my pawn. Yeah. And chess is just about squeaking ahead a little bit at a time. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I need to be careful. My king doesn't have any protection if I move my rook off of c1. So I definitely don't want to move my rook off of c1. So what I'm thinking I'll do, I have an idea. Move my king in the corner. I like him in the corner. So I have a plan for doing that. That sounds crazy, but there is a plan there. Yep, that's my plan. So I had a rook landmine on the f2 square. By moving my king in the corner, it made it so that square was no longer safe, and my opponent took the pawn and lost their rook. So that was my plan. So my king looked like it was retreating, and it didn't make sense because I knew where the trap was. All right, let's keep pushing. No trap. No trap. Cool. Yeah, so you can see when that activated. We can look at the move log. You can see right there it says rook takes f2, rook landmine, under 24 on the right hand side. Let's see. All right. I think I want to start pushing a little bit. I'm missing a lot of pawns. My opponent has more pawns than I do. They have 6 and I have 4. Let's see if I can like break through a little bit. I'm going to go... I want to move my knight into the action more. So we'll push. No knight landmine. Good. Okay. Bring my knight a little bit closer. It targets the pawn on e5 or e6 in case they move their pawn off. It targets the h7 pawn. I have my rook close there. I have my queen. I can bring my other rook into the action if needed. My king is in the corner. I'll probably move one of those pawns so I can have an escape route with my my king at some point. Let's see. I mean, rook for rook looks pretty good. I'm going to do rook for rook. No rook landmine? Good. All right, and we're going to go... Ah, sorry, I got kicked again. See, if I push it just a little too hard, I get kicked. So let's bring it back up. Yeah, that's how I approach like relationships, though, or my relationship, and we're happy. I'd say we're happy, and it's only getting better as we age. Well, I think that. I can't speak for, my wife is her own person, so I won't speak for her. She can speak for herself. Unless she asks me to. She can, she's awesome. All right, let's see. I mean, so I got the knight in a good spot now. It's on g5, so it's targeting f7 and h7. So if I get my queen on one of those, it's pretty much over, but it's going to be hard to break through with all those pawns. So let's start moving. Maybe I'll make my king my weapon of choice and start bringing it into the action, or I'll retreat my queen and bring it in. Yeah, that'll work. So if you look, their queen is on b7. It's blocking the rook from coming down, but it's also x-ray attacking through two pieces. Excuse me. My king on h1. So I have to just be a little careful. The queen could still checkmate me, which is why I moved that pawn. If the queen came down to the 1 rank and my rook wasn't there, that would be it. That would be game over if I hadn't moved that pawn. So it's more of a preemptive move I made here by moving that pawn out of the way. And I can bring my king into the action because the king is immune to traps. Let's see. I don't want to lose my knight. There's no reason to lose my knight just yet. So we'll retreat, and then we'll probably put it on the e5 square. That will allow it to hit d7 to take out that pawn, like the back pawn, because with that pawn wall, taking out the back ones is the way to break down a wall. If you start in the back, those pawns can't go backwards, so they can't attack and protect each other backwards, only forwards. So if I take it back, take it down from the back forward, I'll be able to start pushing forward with my pieces. And whoever's playing me, thanks for playing me. This is a good game. I'm having a good time. I appreciate you spending your time playing me. That's really nice. You didn't have to do that. Let's see. Okay. You know what? All right. King it is. King is now the weapon of choice. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm ready. Bring on the king. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Go here. No. Okay, good. No trap. Now the king can't run. So it's stopped. It can't go to g6, g5, g4, and it can't take on h4. My king is blocking the f4, g4, and h4 squares. My pawn is blocking the h5 square. My knight is also blocking the g4 square, but it is blocking the g6 square. So now the king is actually trapped because it was run into that spot. So my next move is to try to get another piece in there, because if I can check, it's game over. Yeah, so I'll go... Go there. That's also extra protection on the knight. The queen is probably going to go to g8 and check my king, but then I'll go to h3. And I'm safe there because if the queen comes down to like g4 to check me, that's the only square it has protected. I'm also attacking that square with my knight, so I'm still safe. I hope you're okay, Lazy Bump. If you're still there. You'll find your person. Alright, yeah. Yep, we'll go there. That's safe. Now, in chess, there are moves you can make to sacrifice pieces. But if it leads you to a position of winning, it's okay. So I'll show you one of those moves next. The queen on the G file is pretty strong right now because it can block my checkmate. But I would also... Oh, okay. So I was going to go rook a1 to a8 to target the queen. Queen takes it, and then I checkmate, but do that. Good game. Oh, it disconnected. So let's see. That was a really good game. Thanks for playing with me. Here, I popped it back up. It disconnected when my phone vibrated. That's how, like, my whole stream is being held together by string and paper clips. So, all right. So we can take a look now at all the locations of all of the traps. So, okay. So the queen ones were on D5 and B5. I was a little concerned about them, which is why I wasn't moving my queen up. And I think my opponent was trying to bait me to bring the queen up there. And then let's see the rook ones. Okay. Any of the plans I had for my rooks weren't going to be affected, but my opponent did have, I think at one point, they had their rook there as bait, I think on A5. Interesting. Thanks for playing. I'd love to play again. I'll put another code in the chat. I'll type it in. L2XRG8. Join game. Boop. Confirm. And we'll just make the first move. I don't even know where my traps are. I'll show them. Perfect. Thank you for playing. If you'd like to play again, feel free. There we go. Oh, great. Is this a rematch? Is it a rematch? I had fun the first one. If it's someone I know, I'm sure they'll text me, but I can't see it because I have my phone on D&D while I stream. But I am having a good time playing, so thank you for joining me. All right, yeah. I like the music. It's like a vibe. All right. So we have a new opening. That looks like a check directly to the A5 square on the king. That's okay, I can defend it. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. I'm going to focus on taking control of the center of the board where pieces are strongest. So having my two pawns there blocks C5, D5, E5, and F5. Okay. All right, let's keep protecting. I'm just going to play defensively right now. And then if my opponent starts trying to attack me, I'll switch to offense. Or I'll look for offensive moves. You know, my wife and I, we got married. It was 2015. Okay? Push you away with my bishop. Got married in 2015, and it feels like it was just yesterday. Oh, interesting. What kind of attack is this? All right, pawn it is. I saved the pawn the first time, but you've brought out the wrath of the pawn. Beware. Okay. I'm going to keep attacking. Attacking is a great way to get things done. So I'm going to keep attacking. Try something real quick. Oh, sorry guys, it got disconnected. Sorry guys, one sec. See, it's like a little vibration disconnects it. Can you guys see it? Nope. Oh, no, I lost it. Okay. So, open. Let's try this. Disconnect, reconnect. Bingo. It wasn't connected. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to keep applying pressure. No trap. Ah! There goes my pawn. So much for applying pressure there. I wanted to just keep attacking, but sometimes a trap prevents that, so okay. This is interesting. Yeah, let's sharpen it. Ah, every time it sharpens, it hurts. It's too sharp. All right, so I'm going to do what's known as a pin. That pawn now cannot take my d4 pawn, because if it did, their king would be in danger. So it's literally not allowed to take the d4 pawn. The e5 pawn move, though, I don't know how I felt about that, because it did block your queen and bishop. Okay. I'm going to let my opponent be the one to take, and I'll just move my knight in here. Interesting. Okay. We're going to try to push for the checkmate. So I have my bishop and my queen both set up, threatening checkmate on the h7 pawn. Okay. Now, I do have a backup plan. So, for instance, if pawn is moved to g6, which it was, I can come in with my knight if I want. Or my bishop can go to h6, attack the rook. Let's see. One thing I don't like is I don't like my queen lined up on the E file with my king. Because let's say I push that rook away with my h5 move, it's going to move to e8. It's the best spot for it. And then it's lined up with my queen, so if those pieces get out of the way, I can't move my queen, because then my king would be taken. However, there is no protection on that rook if it's on that square, so that's okay. But we'll maneuver around this. So I'll go. Yeah, okay. I'll continue with the attack. I have an idea. I have a plan. So that's to attack the rook on f8 The rook will probably move to e8, and then if you look, it's set up directly in line with my queen and my king, but the rook is not protected. So if those pieces are out of the way without adding protection to the rook, if I came in, it would be checkmate. And when I take that rook, if they move to the e8 square, which looks like the best possible place to put it, considering you don't want to trade a bishop for a rook, especially early game. That also, by moving the bishop out of the way, it gives me the option to just put my king on d2. I know a lot of people don't like just moving their king. They like to keep it in the same spot, so they have the option to castle later and bring their rooks out. But I don't mind. Moving my king up a little bit while I have so much protection there just seems like a good plan. I'm not too concerned. So for now, though, I'm going to first skip the king move and instead do the knight, but I have that king move to d2 available at any time that I want. Okay, that's aggressive. So aggressive. Can I do like laser passant where I just like destroy it and say oops? Let's see. I'm just looking at my options. I got the check. I can go c4 for a check. It's a pretty good option. I like that option, actually. Because the king can't go anywhere except the corner. Yeah, okay. c4 check. I was so sure doing that would vibrate my phone into the realm of just disconnecting. So the king can go in the corner. There's a block with the knight to d5, but that wouldn't be good because I would just rip through and get my queen on that square, and then it'd be my queen attacking the king. Okay, so my queen is still in danger. All I did was I delayed the danger, but that gives me a plan here because now I can come in pretty quickly to go for the king. I know who I'm playing now. I had an idea. I thought it was you, by the way. If you're watching, I'm sure you're watching. I thought it was you because of the aggressive play style. I was so sure. I was like, I know this player based on those early moves. And I was right. So thanks for playing with me, man. Appreciate it. Let's see. So you got to look out for the f6 move with my queen. Yeah, there's the pawns came out too early on that that king side castle, and it leaves a lot of vulnerable. I can't talk. Vulnerabilities on the right hand side. No trap. All right. Good game. Good game. If you want to play again, I'm in. So where were your queen traps? Oh. So, interesting thing. I mentioned going to e8 with my queen if everything got out of the way and it would have been checkmate because the rook wasn't protected. You had a queen landmine on e8. You didn't mind at all. I would just swap my queen for a rook. That was really good for you. Okay, interesting. Cool. Good game. I'll generate another one, throw it in there. Thank you for playing with me. N9 H3. Boop. So anyone can join. Is this a rematch again? If it's a, I should have chosen. I was thinking of taking less, but I don't know who's going to play me. Let's show my landmines. I'm going to just pause this real quick. Okay, let's go D&D and show it again. Cool. I didn't want to. I was texting the person that I think is playing with me, and I don't want to show anyone that person's personal information. That's why I blocked everything. All right. Let's do something different. See how you respond to that. I want you to make a move that makes like my queen look like that. Just screaming. You know, like make it look like a scared cat. Or my knight or my bishop. Make my horse a scared cat. Can you do that? I think you can do that. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. We're gonna just try different things. I've been streaming for almost 2 hours now. Wow. I might make it an earlier stream today because I have to get up early tomorrow. And I'm still like learning the ropes, you know, I'm new to this. So, oh no. So, the F7 to F5 pawn is one of the weakest pawns to move early in the game because of the threat from like the queen going to H5. Just letting you know, moving those pawns is actually like the way you can end the game in the least amount of moves. If you're playing black and your opponent moves the F2 pawn and the G2 pawn, like G2, G4, F2, F3, or F4, and you come in with your queen to H4, it's automatically checkmate. You could actually end the game in 2 moves if both of those moves are done. Okay. But I'm not going to go for that. I'm just going to keep playing regular chess. Not going for the kill. I don't want to go for a checkmate early. I want to try to find things that I can talk about that are educational. So I'm going to go ahead. Excuse me, guys. Been a long day. Go ahead and target your pawn on the F5 square with my queen. Oh, you move fast. Okay, you're protecting it with your bishop. Good. You saw right through that. Good, good. And then, all right. I'll open up to put my bishop on the B2 square with, and then get that diagonal going on the black squares. Cool. I'm going to follow through with that plan. Interesting. I'm going to push. Let's try to break up that wall before it becomes a problem. You're like, forget that. I'm going to keep doing my wall. All right. A wall is what you want. Goodbye, wall. No trap. Good. No landmine. And you're probably going to take me back, but which one is better? So, from my perspective, let's look at the things that open up. If you do D6 to D5, it opens up your queen on the D file to come down. You're hitting a lot of squares. That could be good or bad. Like if I brought my rook over to D1, it would be attacking your queen. It would have to move, but that's okay because you're hitting a lot of squares and it does limit my mobility if I'm moving a piece on that file and it's not protected. The other side is B6 to B5. B6 to C5. Doing that would still block that center area and have you have your pawns in a center spot for pushing later because controlling the center is stronger and you're not moving something away from the center but moving it towards it. So both of those moves have their benefits if you're looking to take my pawn back. It's about understanding coming up with a plan, understanding the benefits and the downsides of making certain moves. Oh, interesting. You just didn't take it at all. You're tricky. All right. Well, then I'm going to take you again. Landmine. Okay. Did you just want to get a landmine activation out of this? I think you did. You were like, go ahead and take me, I dare you. You knew I couldn't go forward because you're knight. On, alright, and then you take me. Psh. Okay. I'm thinking I'll take with my queen. I'm just looking to see if there's a way that could be a problem. I mean, you could do bishop a6, but that's not too bad. I don't mind that. I just move it to a better square. Yeah, okay. Queen take seems safe. Let's do the queen take. Let's see here. If you didn't have your bishop on... I apologize. It's been a long day. If you didn't have your bishop on c8, I could take the pawn on e6, and that would pin the bishop on e7. But you do, so I can't do that. I always have a4 if I wanted to check, like if you try to push me away with your bishop. Go a4. All right, I'm going to do this. Boom. So if you try to do... this blocks bishop to a6. So if you do bishop to a6, I go queen to a4, check. And then I have my bishop attacking a6. So my f1 bishop will take a6. If you take back with a knight, I take with the queen. I'm up 3 points. So that blocks that by moving that pawn there. Yeah. Looks like you might be wanting to castle on your king side. Yeah, there it is. So if you did bishop a6, then I just take the pawn on e6 and check you. So that's still fine for me. I know what to do. All right. We're going to... bring some other pieces into the action. I'm going to bring my knight in here because I haven't moved the knight on b1 yet. So I'll put it on d2. d2 is a square where my opponent now could pin if I didn't have my queen on c4. They could put their bishop on b4 and pin the knight so he can't leave. But here it also blocks the queen from coming all the way down to d1 on the d file. Oh, I see. So why did you do that? Oh, you did that to bring your rook into the action. Put your rook on d8. Okay. Well, then I'll bring my rook. Two can play at this game. Interesting. You used your knight now. Let's see where the knight can go. e5, take with my knight. No problem. Excuse me. a5, you could do that. I'll just have to move my queen. Could do... I'm thinking of some sort of pin. If I put like my queen on b5, it won't do anything. They'll just still move because their queen is protected on the d7 square. I'm trying to think of a way to break through. That's the hard part sometimes, is like breaking through. I could do... like, if I had planned for that knight, I could have done like bishop to f2 at some point if I had moved my pawn out of the way. Because then it's a direct line of the rook. I'm so sorry. I'm just evaluating the positions. Okay. I have an idea. If you look the way I play, I'm keeping most of my pieces on my side of the board, or all of them really. I cross to my opponent's side rarely, because when I do, I run the risk of losing a piece. So by playing this way, I mitigate my risk, or mitigate some of the risk associated with the traps, which is great. Yeah, you see, I think that move was a blunder for you. Yeah, okay. Check. No whammy? Good. Okay. So check. I have my knight protecting that square now, so when I take back, I'm now attacking the rook as well, and I opened up an X-ray attack with my bishop on the F1 square. So the bishop is now targeting the A6 bishop, and the A6 bishop isn't protected, but my bishop is. So I'm essentially forcing a queen trade, putting my knight in a position where it's attacking a powerful piece while they have a piece unprotected. So it's a lot of, it worked out to my advantage doing this. Let me see. Cool. Sorry, I'm just figuring out the game. Yeah, take your time on this one, because this is going to be a difficult spot to get out of. Okay. You ran, but you're giving me the rook? Yeah, you were left with... You're taking like the lesser of two evils here, I guess. Well, if you went bishop, I could have taken rook, and you take knight, I take bishop, or you run with bishop, I run with knight, or protect knight. Okay. So I'm just debating. I'm looking at the option of F1 to C4, because F1 to C4 will set up a... yeah, you know what? Take the points. Follow through with the plan. Trade the knight. You get 5 for the rook. They take the knight. They get 3 back. It's a benefit on my side, just in pure points. And that setup was really good for me to execute to get an advantage this way in points. I also have one of my rooks coming into play now, and my opponent's rook hasn't moved, and it's kind of stuck. So I can use that to my advantage and actually try to bring both rooks into play. So, okay. I have a plan. Excuse me. I'm going to bring my knight into play. I also have my bishop on b2. If the bishop takes... Oh, interesting. You don't like my knights? Why? My knights are so friendly. Like, when I see a knight, I think, oh, that's a horse friend. It's a really nice friend. I don't know why you're so aggressive with him. Okay. I mean, it's protected. That's okay. That bishop moving blocks my rook from coming down the way I wanted it to. But that's okay. I have a plan. Boom. So we're going to try to get my other bishop out on that diagonal. If I can put my bishop to g2, I can target that knight on c6, which isn't protected, and then go for the rook on a8. Right now I have all of my pieces that are in danger are protected. So I don't really have to worry about some of the moves my opponent might make, which is a luxury right now. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's keep going. We'll attack that. We'll go for that knight. It's part of the plan. I know chewing ice is bad for you, but I just like to I used to chew a lot of gum, so just having a piece of ice in my mouth reminds me of those days. Hmm. Yeah. My target definitely is the knight on c6, so I want to see how my opponent responds to that. Okay. Okay. Didn't see that coming, did you? My king is now behind a wall. It's got those pawns. It's got the bishop. I can bring my other bishop in. I got... Oh, their king is behind a wall too. Well, well, well. How the turntables... Okay. Let's see. No. Okay, good. No landmine. We're going to target that rook now, but the knight isn't protecting that square. I'm sure the rook will probably move to c8. I have a plan for that. Now, I noticed that those bishops and knights are like lined up. So on the e-file, if I can get one of my rooks targeting one of those bishops, the king is protecting the bishop on e7, but that's it now that I'm getting the rook to move. So getting that lined up might be to my advantage so that I can come down and take one of them with my rook. Still, chess is all about figuring it out. You never know what your opponent's going to do, and you're just looking for the next best move. Yeah, okay. Boom, protected. After saying that, I was like, I'm going to hit a landmine. I know I'm going to hit a landmine, but I didn't, which is nice. So now I have my rook targeting the entire D file, which is great. I'm thinking about bringing another one in. If I can get my second rook in, that'll be sweet. I could move, if I get that pawn on b5, a pawn protecting a bishop is really good because the bishop is also protecting the pawn. It's like a good strat to have them together. And then he has to keep like attacking or some sort of force on the pawn and bishop because you don't want a pawn to get across unless he has a trap to remove it. Let's see. A lot of his stuff is protected right now, which is good. All right, we're gonna do a check because I want to try to push that king away more towards the corner. He can either block or move to g8. Those are the only options. Let's see. Okay. So I don't like the way you attacked my knight was really good. Because if you go knight. Yeah, okay. That bishop is protected by that knight on f7. I'm not a fan of that. I might have pushed too much. Flew too close to the sun. Careful, Icarus. It's a reference from something no one's going to get. Let's see. So I'm holding it together very weakly on that side right now. I really got to bring that second rook in. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can save everything. So. But. Trade bishop. Trade rook for bishop. Let's take a look at that. Because if I check, you'll take. But you can't do anything about that knight bishop combo now. Which will be frustrating for you. Okay. 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 We're going to go ahead with... I don't want to attack again. I think that would be bad. Which one do I want to save? I think the double bishop combo is better. I don't really like this situation here. I should have killed one of those knights sooner. You're playing really well this game. Much better than the previous games. So sorry it's taking me a little bit longer because I'm actually going into thinking mode. This is chess mode now. Yeah, and I put myself into a bad situation here. You know what? That's the move. That's the move I wanted. So that continues my attack. So now if I lose the bishop, I have two attackers on their bishop on the d8 square, and one of them is my rook, and that's my rook coming behind enemy lines, which is really helpful. If I lose, if they run, that's okay too. So if they go rook to c6, they're losing attackers or protection on that bishop, and I can make back the material. Interesting. I didn't see that coming. Careful, Icarus. Okay, let's see. I really want to bring in my second rook, but it's difficult to do that with this situation. Okay. Let's see. You could go rook over. That's fine. Your rook is kind of trapped now, which is okay. I could go bishop to e7. That would be interesting. I could go... I really want to get my second rook into play, but I don't see a way to do it yet that's safe. Okay. I'm going to do that. It sets up, so if I didn't have the pawn on b3, he would be able to put his bishop on c4, and that would be attacking both of my rooks, and I would be in trouble. But I'm pretty comfortable with it. And this opens up my rook to come over if I need it to c1. I can put the rook on d1 and get double protection with the rooks to really get behind the lines. I have options for that, which is nice. Okay. Okay. We'll go... I'll take. I don't really have a choice. And then he can take back. If he takes back, that's okay. Take back with a knight, okay. I have my bishop protecting those squares that the knight can move to, so I'm not too concerned. Okay. This is good for me. Okay. This attacks both of the knights at the same time. One of them is protected by a pawn, but getting rid of those is pretty crucial. Okay, good. Good protection. We're going to trade. Cool. And now let's keep going. Let's push. If you go for the check with the knight, your knight is going to be in terrible straits because it won't be able to retreat properly. So you have to retreat with it. Because if you push it on like h3, I just move my king up, it's in danger. And then you have to run to any number of squares where you'll be taken. There's nowhere to retreat it. So this gets the knight out of my area. It helps. I don't understand that move. So you take my pawn and you check me, but I'm protected by my rook. Your rook is attacking my bishop. But I can just I'm gonna do the take because it's a check. Oh, if there was a landmine, then I would have lost the bishop, but it's a check. So then, and then hopefully, yep, that protects everything, and it pins the bishop on e6. Yeah, so my next move will probably be one of oh, I can't move the pawn. Yeah, there was a landmine there. There was a bishop landmine. I was prepped and ready. All right, we'll go. Every time I move, I think I'm going to hit a landmine, and I go, and then it's not there, and I breathe like this sigh of relief because they're so dangerous. You know? Let's see. Okay, so I've put, that's a fork. I'm forking the bishop on e6 and the rook on c8. So the e6 is only protected by the king right now, and I have two attackers on it, and my opponent doesn't have a way to protect it with their rook. So that means no matter what, the bishop is going to be taken. If there is a rook landmine, though, I can lose that when I take the bishop. That's totally possible. Okay. Let's push. Okay. We can do another check. Don't. Okay. I've been really lucky the last few games on not hitting landmines. I hit a couple, but like when it counts, my pieces have survived, which is really great. And that takes care of the rook. That's a fork, so good game. I think this will be my last game. I have to get up early. Thank you so much for playing with me. It means the world to me that you're playing and enjoying a game of trap chess with me. Let's see. Yeah, so I think next thing would be move the rook in, the second rook, and go for checkmate. I could also do bishop to e8, push back. Yeah, because the knight will protect it. Okay. Take. Oh, interesting. I think there's a delay in what I'm saying and what's happening on the board with the stream. Check. So check. The goal is just to push the king to the side and then go for mate. Yep. And now let's move my pieces out of danger from landmines. So I'll pull them back to my side of the board because my side of the board is safe, and that's checkmate. Good game. Good game. It was a great time playing with you. Thank you for checking out the stream. I'll be here next Wednesday starting at 5 p.m. And you can join and play trap chess with me. You'll also have the ability to ask any questions you have about trap chess or any questions in general. Someone came in with a question today, which was a great conversation starter, so thank you. It was great streaming for everyone. I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thanks again. Bye.